It's kind of funny because I remember music in itself, apart from improvisation, was a total blow me away totally when I was a kid, to the point where it was really something magic. I mean, I'm sorry because it sounds a little bit cliche, but I had these records and I couldn't believe my ears of what was this thing, this mystery of music. I mean, it's something that that appears really kind of usual now, but in fact it's a mystery that we can put some notes together and it creates worlds like this. So the first fascination to music, shout out to music in general. And then I guess I started to imitate a lot of people on the records with my voice. All sorts of people, also not just singers, but also stand-up comedians, stuff like this. So maybe it was a little bit my first experiments with improvisations, because I needed to go in the shoes of other people. And then yes, at the age of 10, my mother brought me to a jazz concert, a jazz New Orleans concert, and I didn't know about jazz at all at the time. And I was totally fascinated. I listened to the tape over and over after a while for months and decades, almost. And yeah, this was a total new universe for me, and it was really fascinating because I don't know how I could tell as a child that they were improvising, but I kind of knew, I kind of sensed it. And yeah, the fact that we could improvise music freely and that it would give something as beautiful and also as structured as this, it fascinated me. I don't know how to explain. Yeah, then I was invited by my uncle that lived in Juan-les-Pins, it's a little town in France. There is a very famous jazz festival. And my uncle did a really nice present to me. He gave me, like, at the time, 1,000 euros to go to the concert. Like, I could go to maybe 10 concerts with this. So I was like, wow, what a gift. And so I saw Ray Charles, I saw Keith Jarrett, I saw Didi Bridgewater, well, a lot of great jazz artists. And I remember particularly of the Keith Jarrett concert, which is surprising because it was really very complex music for my personal background, which was almost zero. And I remember being totally fascinated by this concert. I don't know really why, because I couldn't really understand anything, but the presence of the sound of the music and the interaction with between the musicians was just thrilling to me. Yes, I remember I had a videotape. At the time we could record some TV shows on videotape of Voicestra Bobby McFerrin. I think I kind of knew Bobby with, of course, Don't Worry, Be Happy. But I just knew him as a pop singer like this. I didn't know he was improvising. And this TV show was a jazz TV show, and it was Voicestra, so like with Ryan and so on, Joey Blake at the time already. And it was like 12 people improvising together. Of course, Bobby leading a lot the Circlesongs. And that's how I discovered Circlesongs, and it was a total magic experience. I loved this tape. I mean, as an object, I kind of venerated it. And I would watch it alone first, and then I invited my friends, a group of friends I had at the time, my crew, and we would just on the Saturday nights or maybe Fridays sometimes, we would just gather, watch the concert, smoke weed, sing together after the concert. I would say after the watching the videotape. And we would do this every time. Some people liked it, some people didn't. But we would do this every weekend. And that was a kind of ritual. Yeah, I think it's where it all started in a way. Well, not all. I mean, not all my experience about music, but this whole relation with circle singing and what happens between people taking turns, taking improvs, connecting the sound. Yeah, kind of ritual thing. And I thought of this circle song experience that I had before, because in between I didn't particularly kept a relation with circle singing. And I thought of that, and it was great because it kind of combined a lot of things I loved, like improvising, of course, with my voice, composing, because there are tiny compositions, micro compositions, vocal groove, vocal percussion, because I had also at the time a Brazilian solo show with my guitar and voice, and I did a lot of improvising and vocal percussion, beatbox and so on. So it kind of computed everything I like in music, and I said, okay, this is a good point to start with. So I just started a workshop on the Tuesday, I guess it was, and everyone could come. It started like this naturally, and it went really naturally, very fluent, very fast at the time. So I started basically with circle song workshops, and gradually, along with the workshops, I noticed that the singers' persona, the singer's type of personality, they had, most of the time, they had a great vocality, they had a great relationship with their sound, with their technical voice, and so on. But I also noticed that rhythm-wise, harmonic-wise, melodic-wise, interval-wise, they were kind of a bit lost sometimes, especially in the improvisation. So I always try to invent exercises and visual mediums because the singer is really different from an instrumentalist, because we have to internalize everything. So it's not like you have an instrument, you put your finger and that's it. Well, I'm not saying that that's not only the only thing that the instrumentalists are doing, but for a singer, you really have to pass it through your body, and this needs specific exercise. So that's the kind of exercise that I was looking for a lot, because it became really a passion for me to get the singers from the voice and the world of sound to the world of musical not complexity, but musical, let's say, language. So yeah, I went this way for years, and that's where when I landed also with Melodear, the app I created for improvising on scales, music scales. Yeah, it's a very long process that was put into an app. Maybe it goes way back to my teenage learning, and it's pretty intimate, because as a guitarist, I was trying to improvise, singing on top of my chords, and I remember I kind of built this way of singing musical melodic ideas on top of chords. And when the chord would change, I would slow down a little bit to really hear what was the next possible note. And it all kind of started there. So this is stage one. Then, if we fast forward a little bit, during the teaching with the singers, as I said earlier, I think that the singers, they needed some little help to get to know the musical language in a more precise way. So I had first the idea which is not, an incredible idea, but it's just I had the idea to write the scales with squares. Each square was a semitone, and if you wrote the numbers of the scale, in each square you could see where the tones and the semitones were in the scale. So this little thing, it helped just learning the scale, trying to get familiar with the hearing the semitones and tones and build the knowledge like this. And after a while I had this idea that I could combine the scales next to one another, and it was doing actually what I was doing as a teenager, to be able to improvise in a scale, in a certain chord, and then switch to the next scale, but through different melodic points, because according where you are in the scale, you can switch to different notes in the next scale. So that's pretty much what I was doing when I was a teenager, and trying to get my idea of continuing through the next chord. And one morning I just tried to put the little scales aside, ruling the ones of each according to the semitones to have the proper intervals. It's a bit complicated, but it needs to be well placed so you have the correct relations between the scales. So I tried and it just worked, and I think it's one of the good mornings of my life, because it worked and it was really crystal clear to how to navigate between the scales there. And after this, I really used this tool a lot for maybe 10 years, and then came Melodear. I formalized the whole thing with Melodear, with the backing, a piano backing, with the possibility of creating your own chord progressions and so on. So that's it. This approach, it kind of combines the way of being able to improvise, sticking to one melodic scale. So musically, basically to one color, because it's not such a question of technical scales and so on, but really to have the color with the right note, the 6, the 2, that really add a beautiful color to the music and to the improvising, especially when the notes, each note separately is really done clearly and with consciousness. It gets really calm, clarity, I guess, and precision to the improvisation, and ground also. And also, this way the singers, they could combine different chords sequence and avoid to be a little bit in a blind situation, and to really get conscious of the melodic passages between the chords. So that's one point, but in a more general point of view, I noticed that the method, they would improve their intonation, their pitch, their vocal agility also, because when we practice this, we go through different intervals, precisions, different type of melodic shapes also, melodic drawings, melodic patterns. Yeah, I think this clarity definitely brings just reality to the music, just as simple as that. Let's say if you take an interval, a fifth, if the fifth is a bit high, or if it's a bit low, a bit too large, too close or too large, it's not kind of existing, I guess, in the physical world. It's in a very blur zone, and I think when you get the right sensation, the right consciousness, the fifth is just placing itself in the physical world, even if it's just vibration. It gets its own existence. It's tangible. It's not something abstract. And I think doing this on very basic operations, it's already a very tough job, and it's, I think, the very fundamental job for musicians, singers, and instrumentalists, especially singers, because we have to build the music together. So if we don't have this reality, physical reality of rhythms and harmonies, I think it just doesn't work. So I really had this focus with the groups I was working on. Even if you're a beginner, you can really use the app in a very, very basic level, just pick up one scale, take the time to hear it. You can play the notes of the scale along with the little keyboard. And try to learn the mode first with this. Okay, I play the note, I try to sing it, I play the next note, I try to sing it. Then maybe bunches of notes together, then maybe the whole scale. And when you get it in your ear, you also have the chord that is displayed as a backing. Try to start to improvise little steps by little steps in the scale and verify. Just check using the keyboards if you're on the good notes, and gradually you will get there. And this is something that's really accessible to anyone, I guess. You can also work on your pitch, because there is a little point, a little dot that indicates you if you are a bit up the note or down the note. So you can help with all sorts of help yourself with all sorts of tools like this. So yeah, I would really encourage you just for this basic, and then you can work on some other modes, scales, and that's it, gradually, before you start to combine them together. I can feel really a great contrast between when I started and nowadays, where the practice of circle singing and Circlesong has totally developed and exploded. And it's great to see so much approaches, actors, teachers that collaborate physically with co-leading workshops, but also the community that is building on the subject and exchanging ideas, creating some resources. Like you do, especially in the Well, which is a great initiative, and really I'm thankful and very admirative of that. I think it's great that people can communicate and exchange on these topics, how they approach. Because the Circlesong is really, and the improvisation in general, vocal improvisation, these are topics where there is room really for very different and contrasted angles and musical, and not even only musical but sensitive approaches. Some people are more in the human side, meaning that how much it connects human together and vibration. Some are more music oriented, some are more vocal or theater orienting, or I don't know, movement oriented. But it still has room for a lot of topics, and I think it's great. I really do.